pressure reaches a boiling point by episode 3. The situation for Bobby Goodson and his crew is no longer just difficult, it is becoming unsustainable if things do not improve. The setbacks from the first 2 episodes continue to pile up, and the margin for error is shrinking fast. This episode shifts the tone from adaptation to urgency. The crew is no longer just reacting to problems, they are now trying to recover from accumulated losses. Every hour, every load of timber, and every decision carries more weight than before. The swamp remains as hostile as ever, but now the real challenge is internal. Can the crew keep up physically and mentally under constant pressure? Morning tension. No more easy decisions. The episode opens with a noticeably more serious mood among the crew. The usual casual energy is replaced by focus and quiet determination. Bobby lays out the plan for the day, but unlike earlier episodes, there is less confidence behind it. The plan is shaped by limitations rather than ambition. Avoid the worst areas of the swamp. Focus on achievable sections. Minimize risks to equipment. This reflects a strategic shift. Instead of trying to maximize output, Bobby is trying to stabilize operations. However, this approach comes with a trade-off: lower productivity, and that leads to the central tension of the episode. Play it safe and fall behind, or take risks and potentially lose everything. Re-entering the swamp. Controlled movement. As the crew moves into the logging site, they are more cautious than before. Operators are deliberately taking slower routes, testing ground stability before committing, avoiding previously problematic areas. This more controlled approach reduces immediate risk, but it also slows down progress significantly. The swamp conditions have not improved. If anything, the terrain has become more unpredictable due to previous disturbances. Areas that were once passable are now unstable, forcing the crew to constantly rethink their movements. Cutting operations. Precision becomes critical. Tree cutting continues, but with heightened caution. Cutters now have to carefully evaluate tree direction, account for unstable footing, ensure clear escape paths. This added level of precision slows the pace of work, but it is necessary to prevent accidents. The episode highlights how even experienced loggers must adapt their techniques when conditions worsen. What worked in normal terrain does not always apply in the swamp. There is a strong emphasis on awareness and control. Every cut is deliberate. Transport problems, the bottleneck effect. As logs are cut, the real challenge becomes transporting them out of the swamp. This is where operations begin to bottleneck. Even when cutting goes smoothly, skidders struggle to move efficiently. Paths become congested. Machines must wait for access. This creates delays that ripple through the entire workflow. The crew begins to feel the pressure of inefficiency. It's not that they aren't working hard, it's that the system itself is slowing them down. A major setback. Equipment failure escalates. Midway through the episode, a more serious equipment issue occurs. Unlike earlier problems, this one has the potential to shut down a significant portion of the operation. The machine either loses functionality or becomes too unreliable to use safely. This forces the crew to stop and reassess. The impact is immediate. Work slows dramatically. Crew members are redirected. Productivity drops further. Bobby now faces a critical decision: continue operating with limited capacity or halt operations to fix the issue properly. Neither option is ideal. This moment represents a turning point in the episode. The problems are no longer manageable inconveniences. They are becoming structural threats to the job. Crew reaction. Stress becomes visible. For the first time this season, the strain begins to show more clearly among the crew. While there is still no open conflict, the atmosphere changes. Conversations become shorter. Movements become more mechanical. Frustration becomes harder to hide. Fatigue is no longer just physical, it's mental. The crew understands the situation. They are behind. Problems keep repeating. There is no easy solution. This creates a sense of pressure that affects every action. Improvisation, adapting under constraints. Despite the setbacks, the crew begins to adjust. They reorganize tasks to work around broken equipment, focus on smaller, more manageable goals, use available machines more efficiently. This is where experience becomes crucial. Instead of trying to force the original plan, they adapt it. Prioritize what can be done, delay what cannot. Maintain momentum wherever possible. This shift in mindset helps stabilize the situation. Even if progress remains slow, Bobby's leadership, tough calls, and trade-offs. Bobby's role becomes even more demanding in this episode. He must make quick decisions with incomplete information, balance short-term productivity with long-term sustainability, keep the crew motivated despite ongoing setbacks. One of the key challenges is deciding how much risk to take. Push to hard, equipment may fail completely. Accidents become more likely. Play it safe. Production drops. Financial pressure increases. There is no perfect answer, only consequences. This episode emphasizes that leadership in this environment is about managing uncertainty, not eliminating it. Late day push. Fighting against time. As the day progresses, the crew makes a final effort to recover some lost ground. They work with increased focus, trying to maximize output with remaining resources. Avoid further delays. End the day on a positive note. This push is driven by necessity, not optimism. The crew knows they cannot fully catch up, but they try to reduce the gap. End of day outcome. Reality sets in. By the end of the episode, the results are mixed at best. Achievements. Some progress has been made. Operations have continued despite setbacks. The crew has adapted to challenges. Failures. Production goals were not met. Equipment issues remain unresolved. The overall situation has not significantly improved. The tone is realistic and grounded. There is no sense of victory, only continuation. Deeper themes in Episode 3. 1. Accumulated pressure. Unlike earlier episodes, this one shows the impact of ongoing problems. It's not just one bad day, it's the buildup of multiple difficult days. 2. Limits of adaptation. The crew can adapt, but only to a certain point. When problems stack up, even experience and skill have limits. 3. Efficiency versus survival. The goal shifts from maximizing output to maintaining operations. Survival becomes more important than success. 4. Mental endurance. Physical strength is not enough. The ability to stay focused and composed under pressure becomes just as important. 5. Leadership complexity. Bobby's decisions become more difficult as options become more limited. Leadership is shown as a constant balancing act. Final conclusion. Season 4, Episode 3 of Swamp Loggers marks a turning point in the season. The challenges are no longer isolated, they are cumulative. The crew is no longer just dealing with problems. They are dealing with the consequences of those problems over time. The swamp remains relentless, but the real story is about endurance, enduring physical strain, enduring mental pressure, enduring uncertainty, and most importantly, enduring without knowing if things will get better. This may be the new normal. This shift in mindset defines the episode. Bobby Goodson and his team are forced to rethink how they approach their work, not as a temporary adjustment, but as a long-term survival strategy. The focus moves away from recovery and toward sustainability under pressure. Morning briefing. A change in tone. The episode opens with a noticeably different kind of morning meeting. Instead of discussing ambitious goals, Bobby emphasizes avoiding costly mistakes, protecting equipment, maintaining steady, manageable output. This is a major shift from earlier episodes. Previously, the crew was trying to catch up. Now, they are trying to stop falling further behind. There's also a stronger sense of realism in Bobby's leadership. He doesn't push false optimism. Instead, he acknowledges the situation openly, which helps set clearer expectations for the crew. Strategic adjustment. Choosing better ground. One of the most important changes in this episode is the decision to prioritize more stable areas of the logging site. Rather than pushing deeper into the worst parts of the swamp, the crew redirects operations to slightly higher ground, uses previously avoided paths, reorganizes workflow to reduce risk. This decision sacrifices potential output in exchange for reliability. It's a classic trade-off. Less timber per day, but fewer breakdowns and delays, and at this stage, consistency is more valuable than speed. Early operations, a more controlled rhythm. As work begins, there is a noticeable improvement in flow, at least initially. Machines move with greater stability. Operators appear more confident. The pace is still slow, but it is more consistent. This creates a temporary sense of relief. However, the episode subtly reminds us that this stability is fragile. The swamp is still unpredictable, and any small change can disrupt the entire system. The illusion of progress. For a brief period, it seems like the new strategy is working. Logs are being cut and transported more efficiently. Communication improves. The crew regains some rhythm. But this improvement comes with a catch. Output is lower than peak performance levels. Gains are incremental, not transformative. This creates an illusion of progress. The crew feels better because things are smoother, but in reality, they are still behind overall targets. Equipment stress, wear and tear builds up. Even with improved conditions, the machines continue to suffer. Instead of sudden breakdowns, this episode focuses more on gradual wear, overheating engines, reduced performance, increased maintenance needs. This is arguably more dangerous than a full breakdown. Why? Because it's harder to detect and easier to ignore. Operators must constantly monitor their machines, making micro-decisions. Keep pushing or stop and check. These decisions add another layer of mental strain to an already exhausting job. Midday checkpoint. A reality check. At midday, Bobby reviews the situation. The results are mixed. Fewer major disruptions. More consistent workflow, but still below target production. This moment reinforces a key idea. Stability does not equal success. The crew has reduced chaos, but they have not solved the underlying problem in sufficient output. Crew morale, quiet determination. One of the most interesting aspects of this episode is the crew's mindset. Instead of visible frustration, there is a sense of quiet determination. The crew accepts the difficulty of the situation, focuses on doing their part, avoids unnecessary conflict. This emotional shift is important. Earlier episodes showed frustration building. Now, the crew seems to have adapted mentally, even if the situation hasn't improved physically. A new problem, limited access routes. As the day progresses, another issue emerges: limited access. Because the crew is avoiding unstable areas, they are now working within a smaller, more restricted space. This leads to traffic congestion between machines, delays in log transport, increased coordination challenges. In trying to reduce risk, they have introduced a new bottleneck. This highlights a recurring theme of the episode. Every solution creates a new problem. Bobby's dilemma: expand or contain. Faced with limited access and reduced productivity, Bobby must make another strategic decision. Option 1. Expand back into riskier areas to increase output. Option 2. Stay within safe zones and accept lower productivity. This is one of the most critical decisions of the episode. Expanding could improve output, but increase the chance of equipment loss. Containing operations could protect resources, but prolong financial pressure. Bobby leans toward caution, reinforcing the season's shift toward sustainability. Late-day operations, grinding forward. In the final hours, the crew continues working within the new strategy. The pace is slow, steady, controlled. There are no major incidents, which in itself is a success compared to earlier episodes. However, the lack of incidents does not translate into major gains. The crew is surviving but not thriving. End of day reflection. A new kind of outcome? At the end of the day, the results are evaluated. Positives: no major breakdowns. Improved workflow consistency. Better coordination among crew. Negatives: production still below target. Limited ability to scale operations. Ongoing pressure remains. This creates a different kind of conclusion. Instead of asking, did we succeed? The question becomes, did we avoid failure today? And the answer is yes, but barely. Deeper analysis of Episode 4. 1. Strategy over strength. The crew begins to rely less on brute effort and more on strategic planning. 2. Stability versus growth. A stable operation is not necessarily a profitable one. 3. Trade-offs everywhere. Every decision involves sacrificing one benefit for another. 4. Mental adaptation. The crew adjusts psychologically to ongoing hardship. 5. The long game. The focus shifts from daily wins to long-term survival. Final conclusion. Season 4, Episode 4 of Swamp Loggers represents a turning point in how the crew approaches their work. They are no longer trying to beat the swamp. They are learning to live with it. And that changes everything. Their strategy, their expectations, their definition of success. Success is no longer about getting ahead. It's about not falling apart.